All right, welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back to the Life on a Stick podcast.
Yeah, so this week we thought we would hit the toughest, hardest subject, maybe, because we felt like we talked a lot around it about why we live life to the full and why do we feel like we have to live today because you might not be there tomorrow and yada yada. So we thought we've mentioned in probably every episode about cancer, but we've not actually talked about it. So we thought, should we do the talk?
Yeah, we'll do the cancer episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what, I think it's a good idea because, like you said, we've recorded a few episodes and I think we've sort of talked about specific stories, haven't we? We talked about when you were admitted to the hospital last autumn, when you got the contrast that you're allergic to, and we talked about a few bits and bobs like that, but yeah, we've not actually talked about the whole thing.
No.
Yeah, and I think it's important because we we preach, don't we, about living life to the max, but it's like, why? What sort of gave us this perspective?
Yeah, exactly. And also, basically everybody who came from the YouTube channel already know what's been going on, but if it might be somebody else who found us here, it might be nice to know the story and not just hear a random because of cancer every so often.
Yeah, exactly. But also from the YouTube channel, to be honest, it's been a long time since we've talked about it properly. And we've only really ever done probably one sort of recap, I guess, where we've talked about the whole cancer journey in and of itself. The rest of it we were doing sort of week by week.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
It's been a long time and we've done a lot of travelling and we've done a lot of other stuff that's sort of, cancer's been in the back of our, in the back of your mind for a little while. So
yeah, true.
It's been a little while. So let's dig it back up and
let's jump down that hole again.
Yeah, but hopefully it's not too dark and depressing because we know it's essentially had a good ending.
I'm alive.
Yes, you are. Otherwise it'd be a bit of a weird podcast. I'll make you laugh while you're drinking.
Yeah. Could be an interesting podcast. Big reveal in the end. It's actually not me.
Have you ever seen Sixth Sense? Yeah, it's that. That's the big reveal. I was talking to myself all along. Welcome back to the Life on a Stick podcast, a podcast about how we're trying to live life to the full amidst battles with cancer, living in a van, and doing our best to raise two half-decent kids. For us, living life to the full doesn't necessarily mean going cliff diving every day, but rather learning to appreciate the little things in life and trying to see the positives in whatever we can.
I don't know, it feels weird. Where do you start?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So let's sort of tie it back into like a familiar subject, which is like life in a van, camping and whatever. The first year when we had a little black van before we had this beautiful van that we live in.
Yeah.
We had a little black minibus camper van sort of thing that we'd built ourselves from basically a 7-seater minibus. And during the first year of us using it, when we'd built it and stuff like that, you had also been experiencing quite a lot of not very nice symptoms, hadn't you?
Well, you say the first year. Like, we bought it in May. And March before that was the first time I went to the hospital.
Oh, yeah, okay. Was it? Right.
Yeah.
So it overlapped like that, did it? We actually bought the van after you'd been to the hospital for the first time. Okay, yeah. Just to preface, like, whenever we talk about stuff like this, that both you and me have got quite blurry memories about it, haven't we?
Yeah,
And
the time lap, or what do you call
timeline.
it? Timeline is a lot of the time you and me got, like, it's mixed up.
Yeah.
And I think it was this when you say the other way around or whatever. Because for me, it is chemo and treatment that made everything, like, brain foggy, and I got no idea. I got no memory left at all. And for you, it's the stress. The stress of everything that was going on around you that made your memory... Well, you had a bad memory to start with, to be honest, but it made it even worse.
Yeah, I didn't start off with the best foundation there, did I? But there's something about, I think it was stress and burnout, I think, from a lot of it. The timelines are sort of mixed up and mushy and blurry, aren't they? So,
But the pre-cancer timeline, I'm pretty good at, to be honest. Because I know that I went to the hospital in March, because I know that it was when Bella was 6 months old.
Yeah, right.
She was just about 6 months old the first time I went to the hospital, and that was obviously March.
Yeah.
And then we bought the van in May, and you built it, and then it was like all that summer I tried to see doctors, and that was really, really hard to get to see a doctor because it was summer and we live in Sweden, and they go, well, actually, word by word, when I called one time, she said, it's summer holidays, call back in August if you're still sick.
Yeah.
In October, they found a 10-centimeter tumor.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like we're not bitter or spiteful people, but it is almost sometimes like you want to ring that nurse specifically and go, hey, do you remember when you said this to a patient? Just so you know, 3 months later, this is what was found.
Yeah.
Because it's so frustrating that the thing for me is I know that you're not the only patient that she said that sort of thing to.
No.
How many other people are also struggling with stuff? You rang in probably June at that point, it would have been. And it was, call back in 2 months' time if you've still got these terrifying symptoms.
Yeah. I was bleeding. I was bleeding, and not just when I went to the toilet. I was bleeding all the time. Like I was sat down and then I stood up and I was bleeding through everything.
Yeah, and we haven't actually said in this episode that you are recovering from colon cancer.
Oh, yeah.
Colorectal cancer,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yes, exactly. And you can have loads of different kinds of symptoms, but it's not very common to have colon cancer when you're young. So nobody believes you when you got problems. I think that's the main problem, that no doctors actually believe that it's true that you got this, and nobody listens to what you got to say. And especially when you're a young woman and you got stomach problems, then it's just pushed to the side because it don't matter. You're a young woman who's just had a baby. You don't got any problems.
Yeah, and like to an extent, it's understandable because it's a young woman who's just had a baby. Of course, she's got stomach problems. Every young woman who's just had a baby has got some stomach problems. But what's not acceptable is it going months and months without you being able to get the right sort of attention.
Yeah, it took 6 months from the first time I went to the hospital until I actually got my diagnosis. And throughout them 6 months, I tried quite a few times. But I also had the doctor say to me straight to my face, you don't have to worry. There's 100% chance this is nothing serious. This is only like hemorrhoids or something similar to after childbirth. And go home, drink plenty of water. 100% nothing else. Even says that in my journal. And with those words, you kind of relax a little bit. You think like, okay, I'll go home and I drink a bit of water and hopefully it will pass in a bit. And every time it don't pass, you think, oh, maybe I didn't drink enough water because he said that. That's all I need to do. Like, you trust the healthcare system so much that when somebody says, like, 100%, I know that it's nothing wrong with you, then you think, like, okay, then I'm making it bigger than it needs to be. I can sit down and relax. I don't need to worry.
Of course you trust doctors. Doctors don't just say things like that, or at least that's not what you think.
Exactly.
But one of the really good things about the Swedish healthcare system, one thing that I think is a really good thing, is that you have this journal that you just touched on then. You have a journal that you can log in and you can see every note that any doctors or nurses have ever put on your medical record. So any like appointment that you've had, any phone call that you've made, anything, it gets noted and it gets put down in a journal where you can go in and read. So you can log into that journal and you can go and read what that doctor wrote. And it is word for word what you just said. It's 100%, it's nothing. It's like pertaining to hemorrhoids, pertaining to childbirth, whatever. And it says that it's 100%, but they've not examined you at that point.
No.
And the fact that, I don't know, I don't think that's the thing that we should get like stuck on, because I feel myself getting like, it boils inside me when I think about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but sadly, throughout this story, is so many faults that's been made. And this was a massive fuck up, to be honest. But then we also have stuff that I've not even like mentioned to the healthcare system when I've been doing the reports, because it felt like such a small thing in the big picture when we were going through it. But like I said, that time when I called and she said, call back in 2 months, like that we put into the report. But another time when I called and I said, sorry, but I am bleeding. I am not bleeding only when I sit down and try to use the toilet. I am bleeding all the time and a lot. And the woman in the phone asked me, are you sure you're not on your period? Like, no, I wasn't 30 years old. I was 28 years old. Of course I know where I'm bleeding from.
Oh my God. It's just like, there's no words. There are no words.
No.
It's just ridiculous. Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, it is breathtaking how
Literally,
bad it is and how small it makes you feel. And that's also a reason why you don't call back the next day, because you've been treated like a 4-year-old. They don't believe you with the symptoms that you got. But that's also the reason why we've been having to send in reports through the whole journey, because it's been people who's not done their job. They've not trusted me when I called in and said I got these symptoms. And even when they've done examinations, they missed it. Like, they've even looked with cameras and missed it and said, you don't need any extra health care. Like, we can see that nothing is wrong. Like, they said that to me before I got to the specialist's office. And they were like, no, we can't see anything. You look a bit red in your intestines, but that could be that you've not been drinking enough water again, or that you've been eating something that you shouldn't been eating. So just go home, drink more water, and this will be fine. And at that appointment, I sat down and I cried. And I said, I can't live my life. I can't take the kids to the park. I can't go outside. I have to be like 2 meters from a toilet because I'm bleeding all the time. I can't move without bleeding. And I can't go out around people and bleed this much. So you need to do something, because I can't live my life like this. I'm not even 30 years old. You need to do something. And I cried at that appointment. And she said, I'll send a thing so you can get to the specialist in the hospital, but you don't need it.
Referral.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't need it. But Meanwhile, at that point, when you did actually have your examination, they found a 10 centimetre tumour.
Yeah.
So they'd somehow missed a 10 centimetres is a big fucking tumour.
Yeah.
It's not small.
No. It was stage 3 colorectal cancer.
And 3C as well.
Yeah.
Which is essentially one step away from stage 4. Like the next natural progression.
Yeah.
The next natural progression is stage 4, where it spreads, and that's the worst stage sort of thing.
So started in March, and in October 22, last of October 22, I got my colorectal cancer diagnosis.
Yeah. And that's when the fun began.
Yeah. Yeah, but from that first appointment in the specialist office to when I got my diagnosis, it only took 10 days, and that was including 2 weekends.
Yeah.
Because it started on a Friday. And for everybody who lives in Sweden knows that nothing happens on weekends. No. So 10 days with 2 weekends included is very, very...
6 days, isn't it?
Yeah, which is very, very fast.
Yeah, very, like lightning fast compared to anything else in Sweden, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's the good thing with the healthcare system here. As soon as you get into the specialists, they're brilliant. And we've been so well treated since then. Yeah. And it's all been like as good as it can be, I guess, with a cancer treatment.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there's been ups and downs, and there's been mistakes made, and there's been things like that. But the general sort of treatment that you've had has been, it's like night and day from when you leave the GP, isn't it? From when you leave the doctor's office and get into the cancer specialists. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is absolutely night and day, to be honest.
Yeah. So from that, I got the cancer diagnosis until the treatment started. It was almost a full month, actually.
Yeah. And your cancer treatment was, a lot of people look at it and think it's maybe feels backwards compared to maybe other people that they've known that have gone through cancer treatment.
But that's what the doctor said, wasn't it? That it was this new, it was like called the popcorn study or something like that. I was trying to think of what it was called,
but it was a study that was...
I'm pretty sure it was called like the popcorn.
Was it?
Yeah, it was something weird like that.
So basically it was a study that was going on in Sweden that had really, really good results, where you basically do the treatment almost backwards or in a different order to what you do traditional cancer treatments with. So you started with radiation therapy, and then you had chemo, and then after that, they performed the surgeries to remove what was left of the tumours. They were trying to shrink it down as much as possible before they went in and operated on it. And it had really, really good results. So they asked you at the beginning if you wanted to do that. They said that this is what we want to do. Is that okay?
I can't remember them asking me.
Yeah, well, it was sort. I think asking's maybe the wrong word. It was more like, we're going to do this unless you say absolutely not. So yeah, I think a lot of people have thought that, well, that seems a bit backwards, or it seems like different to what they'd heard before. But it seemed to work well, at least in our case.
Well, I'm here.
Well, yeah, exactly. It worked well, yeah. So yeah, you started with radiation therapy.
Yes, and I did 1 week of radiotherapy.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is not that much.
No.
If you compare it to a lot of other people who got that kind of like sizes on their tumors, do quite a lot more.
Yeah, but I think that was part of this new way of doing it, this new method, is that you do less of that, because I think that's one of the things that really damages. It damages everything around, doesn't it? It's. I think that's probably one of the reasons why they were keen to sort of get that method out there, because maybe you need a bit less radiotherapy.
Yeah. Like it still ruined everything, didn't it? So.
Absolutely ruined the whole thing. But imagine what it'd have been like if you'd have done 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, true.
The radiotherapy, that was a weird one, because it was the very first thing. It was the very first part of your treatment. So it was like the nerves and anxiety were like on another level.
Yeah.
So I think if you were to sort of lay it all out, knowing what you know now in hindsight, it was probably not the scariest bit, really.
No, it goes very, very fast. And it's something that, I had no idea what radiotherapy was.
No.
And it is the most complicated, simplest thing. Do you know what I mean with that? Because
weirdly, I really do. Yeah, completely do.
Because it is so high tech and it's such a setup before it. Because I went in for a meeting a week before I started, and they were doing MRIs, they were doing CT scans. They gave me tattoos, so they knew exactly how to line me up exactly the same way every single time. And it's actual tattoos, I still got them. So they know exactly the way you're supposed to lay.
To point something of a millimetre, absolutely, got to be pinpoint accurate.
And we were there for hours that day, hours and hours. And it's such a high-tech machine they go into. And then when it starts, maybe not the first day, because then it takes a little longer, but all the other days, you go in, and how long did it take? Not even 5 minutes.
No, minutes. It was a couple of minutes. Yeah.
So the first day, it takes a bit longer because they need to make sure that they line you up perfectly and that the tattoos are right and all of these crap. But after that, honestly, we drove for 45 minutes one way. For me to walk into that waiting room, sit for 5 minutes, and then all right, your turn. You go, get undressed, lay on that table. Then it's this machine that comes out around you, where it's two arms, and it goes.
What does it do? Yeah. Well, that's what.
And for everybody's watching now, you can see how it works. It goes. And then it goes.
And that's you rotating the arms that you put out before, just for anybody listening.
And then it does that 2 or 3 times, and then you're done. And then you go out. And it feels like the easiest thing. You just go there, lay there for 3 minutes. Because I remember they actually asked, they were like, what music do you like? What songs do you want on? And I was like, I like this, whatever. And I don't even think it was most of the time was not even one full song.
I remember this, actually. This is how quick everything goes. You had given them a first aid kit playlist on Spotify. And they played the playlist every time you went in. They put Emmylou by First Aid Kit on, because that was the first one on the playlist. And it was done before Emmylou was finished every time. Every day for those 5 days.
Yeah.
You listened to about 3/4 of Emmylou by First Aid Kit.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's just a weird thing to say, what playlist do you want to put on while you're doing it, sort of thing.
Yeah, because you don't get a chance to listen
for
it.
Minutes,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, weird. It is so weird. And it feels like such an easy thing. You just go there, you lay down, you walk away. And the weirdest thing is that you get so bloody tired. It's like I said, you lay there for not even 3 minutes, probably then, if it's not even full song.
Yeah.
And you walk out and you're exhausted.
Yeah.
And I could sleep for days, couldn't I?
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't at that point because I didn't let myself rest enough at that point because I was so worried about not being around the kids and not being able to be there kind of thing. So I pushed myself so hard.
Yeah.
But I was so tired.
Yeah.
I remember the muscle pains as well. The muscle pain was so bad because it was obviously like in the pelvic area that my hips were hurting so bad. I could not physically lift Bella out of the crib because my hips wouldn't bend over the crib.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't bend down to get Bella out of the bed. Yeah,
really
it was
bad.
weird. Weird. And then obviously from radiotherapy I also got menopause.
Yeah, fun.
It was a nice extra gift.
Nice little bonus.
That nobody believed also when I said I think I got problems. And they said, no, you don't. 5 rounds of radiotherapy is not going to get you these problems.
No, you don't get menopause from 5 days of radiotherapy. No, you don't, do you?
Or do you?
Well, you did.
I did. Here I am. This is also a thing, like even these doctors who should know all said that it's not a problem.
They didn't have a clue, did they?
No. But it made me survive.
Yeah. It did its job, or it was part of the team, wasn't it, at least? So, and if you look at the other possible outcomes, then you take menopause, don't you? You say, I'll deal with menopause if it means that, I get all the other stuff.
Exactly.
As in?
Who needs another kid?
Yeah. We definitely don't.
After all of that fun, we started even more fun. Those weeks between was like very blurry because you're just waiting for the next step. You just want everything to keep going faster.
Yeah.
At the same time as you're dreading because you got no idea what's waiting around the corner.
No, yeah.
So I did Folfox chemo, I think it was called. And that's a chemo that doesn't make you lose your hair. Which honestly wasn't that big of a thing for me.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the main thing that I felt anxiety about.
No, you'd look good bald anyway.
I know, we would be matching.
Imagine that.
Yeah, and it was also this weird side effect where you get really, really sensitive towards cold.
Yeah.
And it affects your nerve system. And it's not that you're actually like hurting from the cold. Like it's just your nerves tricking you that you think you're like suffocating.
Feels like you're suffocating, yeah.
Well, it's not just suffocating, but that was the worst one.
Yeah.
Because they told me because obviously it was December in Sweden, it was very cold. The first time I did chemo, it was like minus
10, yeah.
It was, yeah. It was really cold. And they were like, bring a scarf to wrap around you because you get really sensitive. You can't breathe in the cold air. So I was like, yeah, okay. All right. Brought a scarf. Like, how bad can it be? And I remember feeling this before we left the room because then I'd been drinking like some cold water or like just normal water. And I was like, I feel like I got a tablet stuck in my throat. Like, when you take like a paracetamol and it gets a bit stuck and you don't drink enough water. And then we walked out. And it just hit me.
It hit you, yeah. It was really bad, wasn't it?
Yeah, that first time because we also walked down to the parking lot.
Yeah.
It's not far. It was like 500 meters maybe.
Something like that, yeah.
And obviously you didn't even think about it. But that walk was like I could not breathe when we got back into the car.
Yeah.
I was so out of breath. I had nothing. Like I felt like I could not get air down my lungs.
Oh, so bad.
It was like needles in my eyes from the cold air hitting them.
So bad.
Like it was
horrible to see.
Yeah.
It was torturous. You were in such like discomfort and stuff. It was really not nice at all.
And I think that's why I got so bad that first round. Because obviously nobody knew what we were expecting.
No.
And my mum and dad had the kids the night too when I was going to the hospital because we didn't want to wake up and make the kids see me leave for the hospital.
Sure, yeah.
So they had the kids that night, but then they were bringing them back in the evening after we got back from chemo. And then it was like I'd gone home, laid on the sofa. I didn't move from the sofa. I was asleep on the sofa and you'd gone upstairs working. And then my parents and the kids came home and I stood up and I was like, I can't stand up. Like my feet was like I was walking with ice blocks on my feet.
Yeah.
My voice was shaking. I couldn't speak. I couldn't open my eyes because they were like so swollen and I couldn't see. Like my whole nerve system was just in shock, I think.
Yeah.
Like my whole body was just shaking. And it was like, it was awful for everybody to see.
It was horrible. Yeah,
And
it was
felt
awful.
awful to have the kids home at that point. But we didn't know what to expect. We had no idea it was going to be that bad.
No idea at all. And it's one of them things that we learned whilst we were going, didn't we? So we knew that for the next round, we weren't going to have the kids at home at all that first day.
No.
For example, the first day of every round of chemo was just awful, to be honest.
It was, but it was never that bad again because we also learned from that. So I never walked that far to the car.
Yeah.
You always came to pick me up, so I didn't go outside at all in the cold. And maybe like the system got a bit used to it in that way that it was such a shock the first time. That's why I couldn't talk or see or anything. I don't know, but I just remember when they came in and I was trying to talk and my voice just went like I was really, really sick. Like I couldn't speak at all, could I?
No, it was awful. And then you had 4 rounds of that, didn't you?
Yes.
So it was a 3-week cycle, wasn't it? So you did 1 intravenous chemo and then you were on chemo tablets for the rest of it. For 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks.
And then 6 rest days or whatever it was. Yeah. And you did that 4 times over.
Yeah.
And it's just that whole period, it felt like it went on forever. And I can remember like looking back on the YouTube videos and stuff from that, you can see like the journey that we went on. It was like the first cycle we went in not having a clue. The second one, it was like cautious optimism. And then we did a Q&A video on one of them.
Yeah.
And then the last one, you were like, I want it to be over.
Yeah.
You were, it was really hard mentally, psychologically, emotionally to get through it. I remember it was hard. It was heartbreaking. It was so hard to see that when they were about to give you the intravenous, you were like, I don't want it. I don't want to do this again. So it's not nice, was it, at all?
No.
Chemo was probably the hardest part.
Definitely the hardest part. It was awful because it was also like I felt so sick from it.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't eat at all. And the first round they asked me, do you normally feel sick easily? And I said yes, because I've been feeling really sick throughout pregnancies and stuff like that. And I said yes, I get feel sick very easy. So then they gave me tablets to not feel as sick. Didn't work at all.
No.
The first few days I just pushed through, and then I was like, well, they did say that if you're not feeling good, then you need to ring because we can always do something about it. Tried some more tablets, didn't work. Next round they said, if these didn't work last time, then you take this before and then you don't need to take any tablets after. It's going to make it all right. You're going to be able to live like normal. Don't worry about it. And it didn't work at all.
No.
So for the third round, they didn't really have anything for me.
No.
In that way, they were like, they gave me medication that was supposed to help with the sickness, but it didn't help anything with the sickness. It just made me sleep.
Yeah.
And by the round 3, I was like, honestly, I'll take these tablets. I'll sleep through it.
Yeah.
At least I don't have to be awake and feel like crap.
Yeah.
So round 3 and 4, I slept for the first week.
Yeah.
Because of medication.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can't remember anything of this because it's all stuff that people have been telling me. But by that point, we knew exactly what to do with like me and with you and the kids. So the night of chemo, the kids stayed with my mum and dad. And the day after chemo, your dad came.
Yeah.
He flew from England every 3 weeks to help us.
Yeah.
So he came and he stayed with you and the kids like He always started on a Monday.
Yeah.
So he stayed with you Tuesday to Friday or Tuesday to Thursday or something like that every week.
Every single cycle, yeah.
And at those days I went home and I say home, I went to my mum and dad's house and they took care of me. One of them stayed home from work to take care of me.
Yeah.
And obviously, like I said, I can't remember anything because I was just sleeping because of this medication.
Yeah.
But they said it's such a deep sleep. They were like, we came and checked on you so you were breathing so often because you don't react to anything.
No.
You're just gone. And they were like, we woke you up to eat lunch. And they were like, you ate a sandwich and then you just like basically fell backwards.
Flopped back
and
down,
then, because I was... they'd put a mattress on the floor in the living room so they could like sit and work at the same time as I was sleeping. And I didn't obviously want to lay and sleep in their bed. So we made like a little mattress bed on the floor in the living room.
Yeah, you lived on that mattress, didn't you?
I did. As like their stray dog. Yeah, I can't remember anything of it, to be honest. But it got us through it, even if it was by sleeping.
Yes, indeed. If you're watching this on YouTube or wherever in the video form, you'll see that we've got some new neighbours. There's a German family that's just tried the hardest to back in a caravan into the spot next to us.
Yeah.
And they've finally managed it, bless them.
Yeah, we were a bit nervous because it looked like they might hit us.
Yeah.
Or the other neighbour on the other side.
Yeah. But they made it in the end, I think, just about. It's quite crooked, but...
He seems happy.
Family of 17.
It's like a clown car. Just kid after kid was coming out of that car.
Yeah. So if you can hear some noises in the background, then it's the lovely German family next to us. I realised that we forgot a part of chemo because was it the first chemo cycle, we got COVID.
Yes, it was the first.
We got COVID, proper COVID, all of us.
Yeah, we did.
So you, whilst you were going through chemo, also had COVID to deal with.
Yeah, that was also somebody checked my breathing all the time because you actually thought I might die.
Yeah. Your immune
I say this and laugh now, but there's nothing else to do but laugh about it.
Yeah, your immune system was so destroyed, so squashed that you it was a bit worrying at one point. Crazy.
Yeah, that was a good time. It was a good
also
time.
Positive. Yeah. God, crackers.
But yeah, I think that was about chemo for you.
That was chemo. Yeah. All in all, cracking experience.
Yeah. It was a lot of ups and downs throughout chemo in general, though. But let's not go into that hole.
No. And if you really want to see it all, you can actually watch it all on YouTube.
Yeah.
The whole thing. In chemo, we documented a lot of it.
Yeah.
But we didn't film.
The good days we documented.
Just about to say, we didn't film much on your bad days because they were really bad.
Yeah, and also like, who wants to see that stray dog sleeping on a mattress all day? After chemo, we were so happy because we were having, 8 weeks? 6 weeks? Say 6 weeks of feeling better, getting back into life a little bit, maybe being able to join in with family time and all of this.
But
then life happened.
Yeah.
I got a really, really bad stomach ache.
Yeah.
And really bloated, couldn't eat. I was calling the doctors on and off for almost a full week before they said, go into the A&E and see. Went to sit in the A&E and we were sat for probably 12 or 13 hours. Because I remember this so clearly as well. We were sat there for so many hours and I was like, I'm going to go home soon because I can't be bothered. I can't sit here because I was feeling so bad. Like already not trusting the health system and all of this. I only wanted to be with the kids. This is also funny. It's not a funny thing, but it is a funny thing. I remember because my mom had the kids and we were sat in the hospital and we'd been there from like 9 in the morning and it was almost bedtime for the kids. And I remember that I said to mom, I was like, go and put the kids to bed at home so we can wake up all together tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we were asking doctor after doctor, like, what's the result? When can we go back? I did a scan like 6-7 hours ago. When am I going to get the results back? Like, what's going on? Yeah. And then all of a sudden, when I asked that, I was like, I want to go home to my kids' bedtime. Can I do that?
Yeah.
They came and they were like, actually, it's a ambulance waiting for you downstairs because you go into Linköping, you have an emergency surgery.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so first of all, why? Second of all, for how long have you known this? If it's an ambulance waiting for me right now, why has nobody said this to me?
We've been sat waiting for hours at this point. Yeah.
And I was like, why am I sat in a waiting room and not lay down in a bed somewhere if I'm actually going into surgery in a few hours?
Yeah, we were sat in an actual waiting room watching bloody reruns of Home Improvement or whatever it was. On them really uncomfortable...
Can't bloody watch that show anymore.
On those really uncomfortable chairs that you get in waiting rooms, whilst you've been sat there with the worst stomach pain ever. They've not even bothered getting you a bed or anything.
No.
Crazy. It's not a good advertisement for the Swedish healthcare system, is it?
It's not.
So anyway, you got bundled into an ambulance and drove to the bigger hospital.
Yeah, exactly. So you drove home to pick up some things, packed a few bits for Mum and the kids so that they could turn around and go and sleep in their house. And then you came to sleep with me in the hospital, which was not approved, but they let you do it anyway.
Yeah, you wasn't allowed, was it?
No.
But to be honest, I wasn't leaving you. I was sort of just like, well, kick me out then.
Yeah, but the nurses were lovely.
Yeah,
they were like, get out of your bed and be dressed before 6:30, because then we take your bed out before 7 when the rounds come, so nobody knows. Because so nobody else knows that you stayed.
Yeah. Bless them. Oh, what a lovely team.
They were lovely. Yeah. They did that for 2 nights in a row, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Bless them.
So what was it that they found? What did you get diagnosed with at that time?
I don't know. I still don't know how to say it in English. Ileus.
Tarmved in Swedish. And it is an intestinal... If you Google translate it, it's like an intestinal blockage or an intestinal twist. It's essentially where the intestines twist over on themselves.
Yeah.
And yours came from where your tumour had shrunk so much that your intestines had gotten weak at that point and twisted on themselves.
Yeah.
And essentially blocked everything. The whole path was blocked. Yeah. Wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I got my stoma.
Yeah.
So I got in the evening, but they felt like if it's not like emergency, then you should wait until the morning when an actual team comes in. So it's not just the emergency doctors.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. So I went in to surgery first thing in the morning. I was the first one in, I think, in the morning. And it was quite a quick surgery.
It was. No, it wasn't.
Was it not?
Oh, I don't think so. I think it was.
I guess
don't
you
know.
didn't come back until the afternoon, did
Yeah,
you?
it was like, because we had the van with us and I sat out working in the van in the hospital car park, and I think I ended up ringing in or going in or something because it had taken so long.
But it's because they forgot to ring you.
But they hadn't rang. Yeah, we'd given them all the contact details for me and everything, but they hadn't rang me. But I don't know. Yeah, maybe the surgery itself wasn't too long. I get them mixed up because you've had two major surgeries and they both there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah. But yeah, you're all right. You had to walk in because they forgot to ring you.
Yeah.
And then it was like I was basically back in my room already when you came.
And that was, like you said, that was when you got your stoma. That was the start of your new life. Yeah. With colostomy.
Yeah. So my brother calls it poop free since 23.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was a bit of a shock. That was. Not to get the stoma, because he was always talk about me having a stoma, but obviously it was not planned to be like that.
No.
But in hindsight, I think it was a good thing because it also made me be able to take the decision for the big surgery in a better way.
Yeah.
Because they said it was like a little bit up to me if I wanted to have a surgery to get the stoma just for a short while or have it permanently. And I think that if I wouldn't have ended up with the stoma before that, I would have said, let's try to not have it permanently.
Yeah.
So I think in hindsight, it was a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. It sort of made you realise that the decision the other way would have left you, it would have been harder, wouldn't it?
Yeah. We've
heard a lot of people who've experienced similar, where they'd made that decision to not have a permanent colostomy and have regretted it because it's never the same, is it?
No, a lot of people do have problems where they still have to use the toilet 10, 15, 20 times a day, and you can't walk far away from a toilet and all of these things. And obviously that's not a life for us who lives in a van.
No, absolutely not. No.
But I think that I was so scared about what a stoma was before I actually had it. So I would never have made that decision if I wouldn't have had it already. And I'm not saying that it was easy, because the first few days when I was in the hospital, I didn't change my bag at all. I let the nurses do it. I couldn't even touch it without feeling sick. I didn't even want to look at it. I thought it was really, really difficult.
Yeah.
But then we got thrown that shit sandwich as well, because the day I was leaving the hospital, we got a stomach bug.
What is the one thing, right? What is the one thing, you've just, picture this, you've just had a stoma put in. What's the one thing that you don't want? A stomach bug. They've told you, right, you've had major abdomen surgery, you can't use your abdomen muscles.
Yeah, they said don't...
Have you ever tried throwing up? Have you ever tried being physically sick and throwing up without using your abdomen muscles?
Yeah.
It's all you do.
Yeah. It was good.
Yeah. Full on stomach bug. What do you have to do in life to get that sort of
I got
karma,
really bad karma
handed
but I got
to you?
No idea what I've done.
Yeah, God. Honestly, just that is, just crackers.
It was a very, very hard challenge, because it was like I couldn't get out of bed. Like they were like, you have to roll out of bed, because just like Tom said, you have to not use your muscles.
Abdomen muscles, yeah.
How do you get out of bed? You do a sit up to get up.
Yeah.
And how do you do that really fast to get to the toilet when you're going to be sick?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I rolled out of bed and had a bucket.
Yeah, shocking experience that.
Yeah. And then, obviously, you got it.
Yeah.
And what did that mean? Yeah, I'm not allowed to lift more than a pack of milk for 8 weeks. Oh, I'm sorry, but Bella, I can't lift you out of bed because Tom is laid being sick. He can't physically get up.
Yeah.
So I had to ring my mum and dad at 5 o'clock in the morning and say, hey, my baby's awake. Can you please come and lift her out of her bed?
Yeah. You can't write it, can you? You can't write it.
No.
Absolutely daft.
Yeah.
Just the whole thing's just insane.
Yeah.
And that was surgery number 1.
That was surgery number 1. And we didn't get those weeks where we thought it's recovery time to get back to life a little bit, because then it was recovery from surgery and trying to recover as much as possible from this surgery before we started the next. And then as well, after that surgery, they had said like no lifting for 8 weeks and all this. So then in the long run, like in the big picture, it was 10 or 12 weeks that I was not allowed to lift my children instead of 6 to 8 weeks as it was to start with.
Yeah.
It's a very, very long time.
Yeah.
For both me and the kids.
Yeah. The kids, Charlie especially, that was his thing, wasn't it? He was like, when can you lift me? Are you strong enough to lift me?
I had plasters on my stomach from the keyhole, and I kept them on a bit longer than I should, because I was like, we've said that when they're gone, then I can lift you again.
When the plasters are gone, Mama can lift me again. That was his thing, wasn't it? Yeah, that was the thing that he was looking forward to.
Yeah, because that's also a thing that I don't think we talked about this at all anywhere else, how hard these surgeries was on the kids. Because after the first surgery, the emergency surgery, obviously that was not a planned one. Charlie was upset when we were leaving because he didn't want us to leave. So he didn't even say goodbye. And I just waved to him and said, like, I'll see you later. Just as you do as a parent, because you want to make it not as bad as it is, kind of thing. And because he was so upset and he was so angry with us for leaving, but obviously that's not what he said. So we thought, let's not make it worse and make a big thing of leaving. We just say, we'll see you later. And then I didn't get home for 5 days.
Yeah.
And he wasn't allowed to come and see me in the hospital because I had all these... We didn't want him to see me in the hospital when it was all these needles.
You were hooked up to machines and all sorts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We didn't want to make it worse, but in one way I think we might have done it worse because he wasn't allowed to come and see me. But it's not easy to know in that situation what to do, what's the best.
No.
So when I got home, first it was really excited to see me. And then when we said, like, you can't jump on me, you can't hug me hard or anything, he didn't even want to be in the same room as me for the first 24 hours.
Yeah.
He didn't even look at me. He would, as soon as I walked into a room, he left the room.
Yeah.
And that's stuff that's still like really deep scarred in me.
Yeah. Yeah. I can
To know
imagine.
that he wouldn't even look at me.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a very like adult reaction for a 4-year-old.
It was really hard. And then
Yeah.
we had to keep them away from me when we slept. So
Yeah.
my grandma sewed a big sausage,
A
as we
sausage.
called it, for the kids to be able to come in and sleep in our bed, but not accidentally kick me. So it was
Yeah.
like a massive sausage
Pillow
thing that
separated like two sides of the bed, sort of
Yeah.
thing, so they could still come in and sleep in the same bed as you.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah, it is weird. The thing, there's so many weird things like with going through a cancer battle when you've got 2 young kids. That like no cancer battle's easy,
No.
but there's so many small things that it's like you have to puzzle together to get it to
Yeah.
work. And bloody hell, I wouldn't wish it on anybody, to be honest.
No.
Not especially when you see like the lasting trauma that it's caused for, especially Charlie.
Yeah.
There's certain things where he's, you know, it's obviously affected him.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, we are still only a year after. With the events that we're talking about now were 1 year ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's still fresh.
It is.
Really.
It's going to get better, definitely.
Absolutely.
But yeah, the second surgery was a bit more planned, obviously.
Mm.
Was probably 6 weeks after the first one, I
Yeah.
think. So yeah, the actual surgery was very, very long.
Yeah, extremely long it was, yeah.
I went in again first thing in the morning, like 7 o'clock in the morning, I think I went down.
Yeah.
It might have been 8 o'clock or something like that, actually, because my brother had his baby on the same day
Oh, yeah.
as I was having my surgery.
Yeah.
And she was born really early in the morning.
Yeah.
And I remember getting the news before I went down.
Right.
I remember my mum texted me saying that they had the baby,
Yeah.
but nothing else. And I didn't get like any pictures. I didn't get anything. I found out that they've had a baby.
Yeah.
Or if they just said that they were in the hospital to have a baby. I knew, because I knew when I woke up, when I was in like the recovery, because I was there for like 2 full days or something. I was
Yeah.
there for ages. And I remember saying like, in the end, I was like, can I please go up so I can have my phone? Because I've had a niece or a nephew, and I don't got my phone. I can't ring anybody. I need to know if she's here and if everything's all right.
Yeah.
So I went down really early in the morning anyway. And then obviously for me it was a blink of an eye again. Like
Yeah.
it goes fast, don't it? But it was 9 hours, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
You waiting for that phone call so many hours that day.
Yeah, exactly. I can't remember exactly when it was, but it was, you were down for 9 or 10 hours, something along those lines.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got the phone call from your surgeon, from Linda, who'd performed the surgery, who'd been with us the whole time. And obviously she knew that I was English, but we'd only ever communicated in Swedish. This is a weird thing that stuck with me. I got that phone call and she was like, "Should we speak English?" And I was like, "No, we'll speak Swedish." Why? She's not Swedish.
No.
So she would have been more than happy to speak English with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know, panicked. Weird.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, got the phone call and she went through everything that had been done and that you were okay and pretty much all gone well and that it had taken a long time and stuff and that they'd removed the tumour, your uterus and, you know, part of your intestine and stuff like that.
Amongst other parts.
Amongst other bits and bobs. All that good stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then that was a long recovery, wasn't it? Then that was when the recovery started properly and
It was
rough after that.
It was rough. I remember them saying before I went in that they were like, "Oh, you normally stay for 5 days." I think I stayed for almost 2 weeks.
I think you were in there for 2 weeks, yeah, pretty much.
Because then again, I had complications.
Yeah, you did. You had big complications, didn't you, with your infection and stuff?
I had infections and water,
Fluid on your
like fluids on
abdomen
my
and stuff.
abdomen. Yeah, just under my lung.
Yeah,
That I had to drain again, and that my infection values were going sky high again, and my pulse was too high, and just everything, everything that you can imagine.
yeah, exactly. It's almost too much to go into the whole thing.
Yeah,
'cause
no, it's too much.
Everything when it's written down in a list, it just seems so stupid, and there's so many things. No, it was a depressing period of time though. That recovery while you were still in the hospital, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think the infection was the big thing. That was the big setback, wasn't it? You had a big basically fluid that had got infected on your abdomen.
Yeah.
And that was what kept you in for so long, I think.
That and the fact that I struggled to eat, but I think that's what made it that to start with.
It's probably all connected, wasn't it?
I was feeling really, really, really sick the whole time, which made me struggle to eat and drink, which made them not want to send me back home.
Yeah.
And normally I'm quite good with pushing through and just getting on with it and like, all right, if I need to drink, then I'll just drink. But it was such a physical stop. It wasn't like, oh, I'll just push through. Like I could not get anything down. It was impossible to get anything down. And that was also a horrible experience in that way. Most of the staff there were lovely, but some of the staff was also just like, oh, if you just would have drank your water today, you would have been home with your kids. And like act like not just like hinting at it, they were actually saying stuff like that. And it was like, I'm trying my best. Do you not think that I want to be home with my kids and not lay in this stupid hospital bed?
Yeah.
But I think it was also like all of the trauma from the whole treatment, they came back up a little bit throughout that recovery period.
Yeah.
That when I was in the hospital and I was feeling that sick, it wasn't just that my body was saying stop because you've been through the surgery. It was like my body was saying stop, you've been through all of this and mentally you've not dealt with anything.
Yeah.
And now you get to lay here in this bed and just go through everything.
Yeah.
And my mind and body just said, actually, we're not doing this anymore.
Nah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of things that's difficult no matter what cancer journey you do. But when you got kids, you don't got a second to go through anything mentally.
No.
The days where you're feeling somewhat okay is full focus on kids and that they're doing okay and that I get to be with them.
Yeah.
And they get to be with me and not anything about dealing with what we've just been through.
No, of course.
Yeah, that was rough. But after I got home, it felt like it went really fast to me, feeling better at least.
Yeah, I think you started to recover pretty well after that, didn't you, when you finally got back? And then it's just been, obviously that was a year ago, and you've been on the road to recovery since, haven't you?
Yeah, I can still feel stuff every single day, stuff that reminds me of the cancer journey.
Yeah.
And the fact that I'm not fully back. But we're on the right path at least.
Yeah, definitely. And then a couple of months after that, we ended up driving the van from Sweden to England while you were recovering from that surgery during the summer.
Yeah.
And that was part of your recovery, wasn't it?
It was a smart move.
Smart move.
No, it was, though, to be fair, because we needed to get away.
Yeah.
And I was nervous and anxious before we left. But I do feel like it was a good way to do it because we needed to just get out, get away, get out from that house where we just felt like it was cancer breathing in the walls.
You could smell the cancer, couldn't
Yeah.
you? You could smell the chemo and just the whole feeling of that whole house was...
Yeah, we just needed to get out.
Yeah.
And I think it was really, really good for us. In the same way as it was really, really difficult. On the way back, we realised that it was a bit too much and I was struggling a lot.
Took on a lot, didn't we? Yeah.
I was really tired and I struggled to get it to work properly, to be honest.
Yeah.
But in the big picture, I do think it was a good journey to do.
Yeah, I think so as well. We've been talking for a long time.
Yeah, could talk even longer when it's about this journey, to be honest.
I was just about to say, it doesn't even feel like we've gone into everything.
No.
I feel like we've sort of, we've told the surface story all the way through. But
Yeah.
you could have done a 2-hour podcast on every single section of what you'd been through, couldn't
Yeah.
you? Probably be quite boring. But,
Exactly.
well, exactly, there you go. But I feel like it's good to have gone through the whole story. I feel like we've not had this sort of conversation about the whole journey,
No.
have we?
No.
And not publicly or privately, really.
No.
So I feel like it's been good. I'm
Yeah.
glad we did it.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels nice to have told like at least a general story about what we've been through, and that we will probably like dive deeper into some bits in the future. But also, if it's requested, we will obviously answer questions about anything.
Yeah, exactly. Like we've done Q&As all the way through the journey on our YouTube channel, but it might be a good idea to do a Q&A podcast about stuff. Do you know what I mean? It feels like you can answer stuff in a different way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do that at some point. Let us know if you want that.
Yeah,
Let
absolutely.
us know in the comments or whatever, wherever you're listening or watching.
Yeah. And I also find this episode really important to do just for the reason that it took me such a long time to get help. It took me 6 months before somebody actually believed that I had these symptoms and that I was actually sick.
Yeah.
And because I've been sharing this on YouTube and on Instagram before, I've heard that it's quite a few people who's in similar situations where they don't get believed because we are young women, and it's normally elderly men who have this type of cancer. But that doesn't mean that young women can't have it.
No.
So the healthcare system needs to wake up, and the doctor needs to wake up and realize that we're a lot of people who's been misdiagnosed because we don't get taken seriously. So I find it really, really important to share this story and open up more and more, because we are not alone. It's not just me, sadly.
Yeah.
And all of us who's been in this situation needs to speak up, so more and more people can realize that this is something that's going down in age, sadly.
100%. 100%. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I only had one of many symptoms that could show on this kind of cancer.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they didn't take me seriously, because I only had one of the symptoms, and therefore they didn't think there was anything
No.
serious.
Meanwhile, you had a 10 centimetre tumour, which ended up being stage 3C cancer.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show that, you know, you got to push on it, haven't you?
Yeah, that's the thing. Go and see a doctor and make sure that they believe you and take you seriously, and don't let them push you around just because you're a young woman who got these symptoms.
Absolutely. Well said. Leave it there, I think.
Yeah. Women's rights.
Yeah, go women, go.
I hope that you enjoyed our shit show.
Yeah, thanks for tagging along and listening. If you've made it to the end, then congratulations to you.
Yes.
Job well done.
Job well done. You heard that I survived.
Yes, yeah, there you go. That's the big reveal at the end. That it all went well, and yeah. Good. Happy days.
Happy days, happy days.
So, yes, thank you very much for listening to the whole episode if you've got this far. And make sure you do give us a little follow on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts or whatever. If you're on Apple Podcasts, leave us a little review, as long as it's 5 stars. But because that really does help.
It helps us a lot.
We're very new. We're just starting out and all that good stuff.
We need you.
So, yeah, massive thanks, and we'll see you next week.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.